One second. All right, we're gonna start with Frank Garrett. Is that right?
I'm ready, Judge.
Frank Garrett, if you're there, can you wave your hand the best you can, sir? Shrug your shoulder.
I don't see him in either of the Cobb booths, and last I checked, he was in Cobb.
Let's see. All right, I got it. What about Antrell Adams? All right, thank you. And somebody's covering Miss Alfarassi's cases. That's you?
I will be. Yes, Judge.
All right, Bostic gets position 24. You ready?
Yep.
All right. It's a 22 CP 213775 Antrell Adams, 110 days without indictment. You got VGCSA manufacture, possession, distribution, controlled substance in a drug-free commercial zone, purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, receipt or possession and transport of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender, loitering and prowling, possession of drug-related objects, possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with intent to distribute times 4, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, willful obstruction by a law enforcement officer by use of threats or violence, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, pre-trial.
Antrell Adams, 18 prior arrests, 3 misdemeanors, 5 felonies, 1 being controlled substance forgery, the second 1 firearm during open misdemeanors, 20 CR 00195 2Y, simple battery family violence, 18 CR 00864 1Y, simple battery family violence, 1 FTA in 2014, 2 arrests for probation violation. Nothing further.
Let's get no bond, Ms. Rosenhoover. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Adams is 33 years old. The address on file is a good address for him. He resides there with his mother. He's a lifelong Georgia resident, and his entire family does live here in Georgia. Most recently, he was working both at Carver Market and for Amazon as a stalker, and he has held that job since 2017. Your Honor, I didn't hear a history of failures to appear or any violent felony convictions. And he also does have a hold out of Cobb County. And so at this time, we would ask for a bond that does not exceed $30,000. Thank you.
And that's the Mary Street in Atlanta?
That's correct.
Right.
I have Marcy, but yes, the one that's on.
Okay. All right, what says the state?
Good evening, Your Honor. With the list of offenses that are charged here, we are actually asking for a $50,000 bond, Your Honor.
How you gonna break that down? There's 23 grams of weed, 8 grams of meth. Let's see, 9 grams of coke and 9 grams of heroin. And there's also 12 pills. I'm assuming they're opioids. How do you want that broken down?
Oh,
I think that maybe you've got a little bit of bad connection, I think.
you need me to log out and try to log back in again? Can you hear me?
Is anybody else hearing a lot of stuff in the background? Or is it just me?
No, it sounds like there's a lot of background noise.
There's nothing going on here. I can log out and try to log.
Your Honor, I believe it's a microphone issue. It sounds like it's just the gain on the microphone is probably very high at the moment.
Hers?
Is that better?
Yes.
Way better.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
So in terms of the breakdown, I didn't actually break it down individually. I don't know.
Got you.
Okay.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 4979 Old National Highway. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical. Does he have employment, Ms. Rosenhuber?
He does, Judge, so we would ask for a work exception to that curfew.
All right, you can also use it for work, sir. However, you're gonna have to provide the name of your employer, proof of employment, the exact location you'll be working, and a schedule. You're gonna have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer, Ms. Alfarasi, so she can supply that to the state. No drugs means no drugs. All right, VGCSA manufacture, distribution, controlled substance in a commercial-free zone, 10,000. Purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution of marijuana, 10,000. Receipt or possession of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender, 15,000. Loitering and prowling, 5,000. Possession of drug-related objects, $200. Possession of Schedule 1, 2, 3, or 4. I mean, 1 or 2. There's 4 of those. I'll make those 5,000 apiece. Possession of a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, 15,000. Felony obstruction, 20,000. And willful obstruction, 10,000. Need that again, Ms. Tracy?
Have it.
You
Can
do
you hear
need-
me?
Yeah, you need it again?
No, I got it.
Okay, best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Now, Cresta Crump. Thank you, sir. 22C, it's 13, it's 15, Bostic, 22 CP 213702, Cresta Cornell Crump the third, 112 days without indictment. As of November the 5th, there's a $25,000 good bond. Got 112 days without indictment, aggravated assault, battery, family violence, first offense, and cruelty to children. Pre-trial. Bostic.
Your Honor, it looks like she disconnected from the call. I don't see her name on the lists anymore.
She didn't pay her internet bill again, did she? Let's see. There she is.
I just submitted her, so she should be coming.
Okay.
He was asking about Crump.
Go ahead, pretrial 15.
Crump, 7 prior arrests, no felonies, 3 misdemeanor, 1 misdemeanor for possession, disorderly conduct, 1 arrest for probation violation.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Crump's 32 years old, born and raised here in Georgia, or sorry, has lived in Georgia for the last 15 years, high school education with his GED, 2 children, one of whom lives here in Georgia. He has a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old. Before his arrest, he worked for a canvasser with a political campaign here in Georgia. The address on file will be a good address. We have confirmed that address. That is his father's address here in Georgia. We confirmed that address with his father back on the 8th. Looking at everything presented, I believe the bond is currently set at $25,000 good across the 3 charges. We are asking the court, based on the limited and nonviolent nature of his history, to set a bond not exceeding $10,000 good in this case.
All right, that's a Fulton County address, right, Mr. Lang?
Yes, it's in Atlanta. I don't know which portion of Atlanta, but it is an Atlanta address.
All right. What says the state, Ms. Broderick?
Well, it's surprising that the bond is as low as it is. I would not recommend anything lower than that, Your Honor, based on the fact that there's the cruelty to children, battery, family violence, and the aggravated assault. From my perspective, it should be 80,000, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with first name SHLI, last name Andrews. Stay away from 7305 Village Center Boulevard in Fairburn, Georgia. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, sir, except for court, lawyer, medical. Does he have a job, Mr. Lang?
Not that I have written down, but he will be getting one as soon as he gets out. Like I said, his last work was with a political campaign, and the political time is over, so he's gonna have to find something new.
Ooh, political time's over. Yes, it is. All right, employment, but sir, you must provide proof of employment, the name of your employer, a schedule, and the exact location you will be working, but you have to stay at home 24 hours a day, except for those exceptions. And you're right, this isn't a bond that I set. See, I'll do 15, 5, and 3. Since I made it changes, 15,000, 5,000, 3,000. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, Heather Rollinson, ACDC. All right, this is 22 CP 209-836, Heather Rollinson, 256 days without indictment. There's a $23,000 good bond as of October the 5th, 2022. Possession of a firearm by a first offender probationer, possession of Schedule II controlled substance, possession of a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, giving false name, address, date of birth to law enforcement officer. Pre-trial.
Tammy Robinson, 8 prior arrests, open case in DeKalb for meth. On probation for forgery in the first, sentence 11/5/21 for 3 years, 2 FTAs, 2018, 2019, nothing further.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Rollinson's 32 years old. Currently will be living at the address, the Sheila Lane address. I'm not sure if that's the address on her booking documentation or not. It's a Stone Mountain address. She'll be living there with her parents. She has 2 children, an 8th grade education, currently unemployed, but will be looking for gainful employment upon being released from custody. At the time, currently, her bond is unaffordable for her to reach. We are asking the court to consider a bond not to exceed $10,000. I would ask if the court is willing to look lower, simply with regards to trying to get maybe the bail project or something like that to help out in this case. I do think it's worth pointing to the court that she received a lower bond than what she currently has at first appearance. At her preliminary hearing, a charge was dropped, but then the bond amounts were readjusted and she ended up with a higher bond than she initially had. So at bare minimum, I'd be asking the court to put it back to the $14,000 bond she was given at first appearance. But I would be asking the court genuinely to bring it down to around $10,000.
All right, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, similarly, the fact that this is not the first charge for a controlled substance is alarming. And the fact that there was a firearm by a first offender probationer, so $20,000 is a considerably low bond. From the state's perspective, the bond should be at least $30,000.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Ma'am, the only reason you're to come to Fulton County is for court or to see your lawyer. Do not come to Fulton County. Don't run out of gas in Fulton County. Don't get a flat tire. If you're living over in Stone Mountain, take 285, go to where you need to go. But you do not break down, get a flat tire, get gas or anything in Fulton County. All right, you're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew. You could leave for court, lawyer, medical attention, and work. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, exact location you'll be working, and a schedule. You have to turn that over to your attorney and to the ankle monitoring company so they can give it to the state. No further contact with Erica, ERICA, Alston, ALSTON. Ma'am, you cannot be around a weapon. If you are living with your parents and they have a weapon, that weapon cannot be in that house. $10,000, $1,000. 10,000 and 500, no, 10,000, 1,000, 10,000 and $250. 10,000, 1,000, excuse me, 10,000, 1,000, 10,000, $250. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Delisha Hudson. Before we get Miss Hudson, do we got Frank Garrett? All right, we got Mr. Garrett. You ready, Ms. Mosenhoover?
I am, Judge.
All right, 14 Bostic 22 CP 213027. 139 days without indictment. There is a $7,500 good bond as of October the 8th, 2022. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon and willful obstruction. Pre-trial.
In regard to Frank Garrett, 7 prior arrests, on probation for aggravated assault, sentence for 1719, 1 year confinement, 4 years probation. Also a 2015 battery. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Garrett is 25 years old. I have updated his address to reflect his mother's new address. That's in Stone Mountain, Georgia. He'll be residing there with her as well as his siblings. Judge, he was previously working at a warehouse job. He'd been there for a couple of months doing seafood kind of food. Judge, he does have some MH issues that do need to be addressed, and his mother is aware of them and plans to help him get there. But they cannot afford a $7,500 bond at this time. So we're asking the court to reduce it to $3,000. Thank you.
It says the state.
That is, the fact that there was a firearm possession by a convicted felon, the state thinks the bond should not be lower than 25,000.
But so you're asking me to increase it from 7,500 to 25,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there a motion to increase bond?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now what do you want to do?
It should at least stay at what it is, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from the intersection of Peyton Place and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, which should be pretty easy for you, sir, because you're going to stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you're going to come to Fulton County is court, see your lawyer, period. Do not come from Fulton County for anything else. Don't stop at Chick-fil-A. Don't stop at Chipotle. Don't stop for gas. If you got to get gas, fill up a gas in Stone Mountain. Come to Fulton County, see your lawyer, go to court, and then leave Fulton County. Am I clear? Nod your head. He did nod his head for the record. That ankle monitor be paid for by the county. Like I said, no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And follow any recommendations. Ms. Rosenhoover, you think you're going to get him in a program?
Judge, we certainly can. I've been speaking with his mom about it, but so far we haven't gotten him into one.
All right. And also, sir, if Ms. Rosenhoover gets you into a program for mental health, make sure you follow all those recommendations, and you can leave your house for that. So court, medical, lawyer, and also for any mental health treatment. 4,000, 1,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You leave the booth. Thanks, Cobb. Now I got Ms. Hudson. Number 8, Bostic 22 CP 213596, Delisha Hudson, 116 days without indictment. There's a $10,000 good bond as of November the 1st, 2022. Cruelty to children. Pre-trial.
Judge, regards to Ms. Hudson, 2 prior, this is her second arrest. The only prior arrest was no process. Nothing further.
All right.
I'll be handling this for Mr. Houston, Judge.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Hudson is 33 years old. She has 3 children, and we do have a new address. It's where her mom lives in Macon, Georgia, and Mr. Houston or myself will file a change of address with the court. She graduated from Job Corps Atlanta, and she achieved her CNA certificate as well as her bartending license. Judge, she is diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and Mr. Houston and Ms. Hudson's mother have been speaking about River's Edge and Life Springs programs. That's a mental health program that they intend to get her into. That's the condition of her being able to live with the mother. And so that's steps that they've already been taking. Judge, they can't afford a $10,000 bond at this time. And given the fact that she's been in now 116 days without indictment, has a limited history, and it's my understanding that the complaining witness is currently with her father, that child is, so there would be no reason to have contact other than for the defects case that's pending. But Judge, we would ask for a reduction to $3,000. Thank you.
Ms. Broderick.
We are curious as to whether or not there would be any other children that she would have access to, and whether or not you would place an ankle monitor. If there's a program that she would get into, we would leave it up to the court's discretion as to what the bond amount would be, provided that she does get into and maintain participation in the program.
So Ms. Rosenhoover, there is an open defects case in juvenile court?
According to the father, Mr. Michael Foster, yes. And she does also have 2 twin boys that are currently residing with their grandmother on the father's side. And so I don't believe that any of the children would be staying with her, but she may need some sort of condition that would allow her to comply with DFACS's requirements.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have, since you're gonna live in Macon, you're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and anything that includes juvenile court and anything that DFACS will require to you work your reunification plan with your children. I'll let juvenile court decide how much contact you have with your children. So that'll be guided by anything that juvenile court does. Until then, no further contact with M. Foster, that's the minor child, M. Foster, and follow anything that DFACS says to do, any treatment or any mental health programs or anything else.
And Your Honor, if D-
Only reason you come to Fulton County, ma'am, is for court to see your lawyer. Yes, ma'am?
if DFACS does not recommend a MH program, there is a program that Ms. Rosenhoover mentioned getting the defendant into, correct?
Yes, or cooperate with the program that Ms. Rosenhoover / Mr. Houston gets you into, ma'am, okay?
I'm sorry, I apologize. Yes,
All right, got you. $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am. You can leave the booth.
thank you.
Is that it, ACDC, or do we have another one?
No, we got a couple more, Your Honor. We have, position 4, Vanessa Dukes.
Okay, hold on, that must have been on this other, all right, hold on.
Judge, she's on the add-on.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me find that. All right, there we go. All right, Boston, position 4 on the add-on, 22 CP 213885, 106 days without indictment. There's a $33,000 good bond as of November the 12th, 2022. Aggravated assault, possession of a knife during the commission of a felony, and battery. Pre-trial.
Judge Dukes, 5 prior arrests, first offender in 2011 on criminal damage and burglary. 04 criminal trespass, nothing further.
All right. Ms. Bassett.
Thank you, Your Honor. And as I stated,
It's her that froze, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Six South, booth 3. Whoever you're pointing at, stop.
Your Honor, after position number 4, we have position 21, Jasmine Brown.
Jasmine Brown, there was a note on there that it was pending indictment. So ma'am, you're gonna have, Ms. Collins will reach out to you after this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Ms. Bassett left. So this one's the only one you got left, right, Ms. Dukes?
Your Honor, she's logging on right now. I'm trading text messages with Miss Bassett.
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor. Position 4 is my last one since position 21 has been indicted.
Okay. All right, Ms. Bassett, go ahead.
thank you, Judge. I'm like, the internet has been fine all day. Of course, it would happen right now.
All right, go ahead.
So, Your Honor, Miss Dukes is 49 years old. She has lived in Georgia for her entire life. Her family is local. She's got a good address on file. She's completed the 11th grade. She has 2 adult children. Her youngest son is a Marine. She's very, very proud of him. She was working at Wingstop before she was arrested. I don't know if she still has that job, but I believe that she will be able to secure employment shortly after her arrest. If not at Wingstop, then somewhere similar. It's my understanding that this case stems from an altercation between Miss Dukes and the supervisor where she was working at the time of the alleged incident, which is not Wingstop. I believe that was Jersey Mike's Subs. The alleged incident occurred in June of 2022. I would note that Miss Dukes was arrested in November, same year. I don't have any information that suggests that she was evading arrest. I think she just did not know that warrants had been taken out. She knew that she didn't have the job anymore, but I don't know that she knew anybody was looking for her. It also doesn't seem like there have been any issues between Miss Duke and Miss Jones, her supervisor, since the alleged incident. So I don't have any concern about Miss Dukes attempting to contact Miss Jones if she is released. The circumstances leading up to the alleged altercation at this point are unclear. I have very limited information as this is a pre-indictment case. Supposedly there is footage from the restaurant, but the state has not turned anything over to me, so I haven't had the opportunity to see what that footage might actually show, if anything. I would note that Miss Dukes has no felony convictions and very sparse history. She has no other open cases. She's not on probation. She cannot make the bond as currently set. I would say that would make it per se unreasonable for her based on her financial circumstances. I'm actually not sure that she can make any bond, but for today, I would be asking for a reduction to $15,000 good. And I would ask the state if they have any update on the status of the indictment.
All right, Ms. Broderick.
I do not have any status on the indictment process in terms of where it is, what evidence has been received by the state concerning this case. In reference to, I don't believe we've heard anything about where Ms. Dukes is going to be residing, whether or not we have an address for her to make sure that she returns, whether or not there are any job prospects that she's going to engage in. You know, Your Honor, making sure that she returns to court is what the process is designed for. So in terms of, you know, having an altercation with a manager at her previous employer does provide some reservations for reducing the bond at this point, Your Honor. So it's the state's position that the bond remain the same. We haven't heard anything that would make it a reason to change the bond amount.
All right, one
And
second.
Your Honor, if I could just very briefly to correct the record, I don't know if my internet may have cut out when I was saying all of these things, but Ms. Dukes's address that is on file is a good address. As far as I know, she can return to that address. She has somewhere stable to go. And as far as job prospects, she was able to secure a new job after being fired from the Jersey Mike Subs. So I would trust that she would be able to find another job after she's released from custody.
Okay, let's see, Alpharetta Jail, Mr. Smith, Antoine Smith. Sir, your case has been indicted. Your lawyer can get in touch with you later during the week, okay? All right, thank you, Alpharetta.
Thank you.
All right, I got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Has there been any, we got the victim advocate, has there been any contact with the victim? We don't know. All right, let's see. No further contact with Samantha Jones. Stay away from all Jersey Mikes. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location that you're going to be working. You have to turn that over to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. Let's see. Stay away from 2555 Piedmont Road in Atlanta, Georgia. 20,000, 4,000, and 2,000. 20,000, 4,000, 2,000. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that would conclude my business with the court this evening. May I please be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you again, Ms. Bassett.
Good to see you, Judge.
All right,
Have a
let's
good
see.
evening, everybody.
Thank you, ACDC. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
All right. Let's see, gentlemen, in the booth, when I call your name, you have to raise your hand. I don't want to see anybody get up out of the booth and leave. There is nothing going on behind you, behind that door that's more important than what's going on here, unless you're getting medication. If you get up and walk out of that booth and I call your name, you will be reset to another day, and it will be a you problem and not a me problem, okay? You need to pay attention to all the instructions that I give you, all the conditions that I give you. This is a you problem, gentlemen. If I say stay away, that means stay away. If I see no further contact, no further contact. Listen to the numbers. That will be your bond. If you don't get a copy of your bond in the mail from your lawyer, you need to go by the courthouse and pick up a letter, a copy of your bond conditions and your bond. This is on you. All right, Rico Williams. No Rico Williams. Christopher Jefferson. Jermaine Smith. Rodney Geis. James Love. Thank you, sir. It's position 7, Bostic. CP 213561, James Dagger Love, 119 days without indictment. There's a $7,500 good bond on aggravated assault as of October the 29th. Free trial.
Judge, in regards to James Love, 22 prior arrests in Georgia, arrest in Alabama. I'm on probation for theft by taking. Sentenced in 2013, 8 years confinement, 20 years probation, on probation for burglary. Sentenced in 2012, 7 years confinement, 13 years probation. Couple of misdemeanors, 1 probation violation, nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Love is 55 years old. He has a 10th grade education. He's not currently employed. I mean, he's been in custody since the end of October. It's hard to hold a job that long when you're not able to attend that job. So hopefully he will be getting a job once he is out. I did receive some information from Miss Beck. Mr. Love has been accepted into PAD, the Policing Alternatives and Diversion Initiative program. They are holding bed space for him. They anticipate they'll be able to hold that bed space until the end of the first week of March or so. So at this time, we're asking the court to reduce the bond in this case. I'm going to ask first for the court to consider, well, actually, I cannot ask that based on the nature of the charge. So I'm going to ask the court for a bond not to exceed $5,000 so that we can attempt to use the bail project to pay the bond and get Mr. Love into the program with PAD and receiving the help that he needs.
All right, what says the state?
Your Honor, we would actually leave it to your discretion because of the fact that Mr. Love has a program that's waiting for him. Other than that, the state would think that the bond amount is exceptionally generous as it is. So we would leave that to the court's discretion based solely on the fact that there's a program that's waiting for him.
We still don't have do we have the advocate on here to know if anybody's made contact with the victim? No. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 354 Michael Street. No further contact with Terry Allen, A-L-L-E-N. You're gonna have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical. Employment, Mr. Lang?
None right now, Your Honor. He's been in custody for 4 months. He'll
All right,
hopefully
he
be
can-
able to find something once he gets out.
All right, he can leave for employment as long as, sir, you have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, your schedule, and the exact location you will be working. Without that, you cannot leave your house except for court or to see your lawyer or to go seek medical attention. Once you get that release or the consent for PAD, just send me that order. It's already $7,500, which wasn't mine, but since he's in that program, I'll go ahead and reduce it to a $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Brandon Taylor. Thank you. All right, Mr. Lang, it's position 12, Bostic 22 CP 213024, Brandon Taylor, 140 days without indictment. There was no bond as of October the 8th. Aggravated battery, pre-trial.
14 prior arrests, 1 FTA, 3 prior arrests for probation violation, prior cruelty, felony cruelty, and a prior possession of a Schedule 1 substance in 2011, 3 misdemeanors, 1 FTA, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Taylor's 36 years old, lived in Georgia for the last 28 years of his life, has a good address here in Marietta, Georgia, lives at that address with several family members, including his mother, grandmother, aunt, and several uncles. He has a 12-year-old son, who he sees whenever he's able to, provides for financially in every way he's able to. He graduated from Lassiter High School in 2004 and then studied television production at Chattahoochee Tech. He was working for DNL Heating and Air at the time of his arrest in the HVAC industry. He's worked there for a little over a year. At this time, he is past the 90 days in no bond status with no indictment from the state, therefore legally entitled to a bond. I'm asking the court to set a $5,000 bond based on nonviolent history, having been in custody since the beginning of October with no progression on his case whatsoever. He hasn't had his prelim yet. He hasn't had, I believe this is the first bond hearing since that day. So he's been sitting 4 months waiting for any progress on his case. So I'm asking for big progress. I'm asking for 5,000.
Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, the fact that the nature of the offense involves someone that he had a relationship with gives the state significant pause concerning a low bond. We are actually asking for a $75,000 bond, Your Honor.
Looks like he struck her in the head with a wooden chair, leaving an open wound over her right eye. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 404 Hard Scrabble, HARDSCRABBLE Road in Roswell, Georgia. No further contact with Jessica, last name Liboy. Sir, that means you cannot call her from the jail. Don't have anyone else call her. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't run it, don't have a flat tire. Go straight to see your lawyer, straight to court, and then get out of Fulton County. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you provide proof of employment, the name of your employer, and the exact location you are going to be working, and the schedule. You have supplied that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer.
And Your Honor, can you also make it so that there's no contact with the victim's family as well?
Sure. No further contact with any of the victim's family, any relatives, any close family. So don't send a message through somebody, just talk to them. No third party contact. That will count as contact. $50,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Rico Williams, you here yet? All right, Mr. Lang. It's 19 Bostic 22 CP 213736, 112 days without indictment. There is a $64,500 good bond as of November the 11th. Purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, trafficking in cocaine, illegal drugs, marijuana, or methamphetamines, possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of Schedule 3, 4, or 5 controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, receipt, possession, or transport of a firearm by a convicted felon or felony first offender, willful obstruction of law enforcement officer, and drugs not in original container. Pre-trial.
Regards to Mr. Williams, 18 prior arrests, couple of FTAs, arrest for probation violation, couple of misdemeanors, prior burglary in 2013, and felony theft by shoplifting, felony marijuana with the intent to distribute. On misdemeanor probation for driving with a suspended license ends in a couple of weeks. And in Lumpkin, or firearm by a convicted felon, 5 years. No, that would have ended by now. It was from 2017 for 5 years. Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Lane, just so you know, we got 68 grams of weed, 1.6 grams of crack, 9.6 grams of heroin, 5.7 grams of MDMA, and 3.6 grams of opioids. Go ahead, Mr. Lane.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams, 28 years old. He has two daughters, aged 3 and 9, whom he provides for in every way he's able. He has an 11th grade education, has been working in landscaping and different odd jobs around his community for the last couple of years. He, recently, his most recent job was he helped with kind of a moving service, helping people move in and out of new homes. He's lived in Georgia his entire life. He has extensive family ties here. The property he lives in is owned by his mother. So he has substantial ties to this community. I understand the charges here. I understand the state's going to say the amount of the drugs is a big concern for them. This case has not been indicted since he was arrested in November. So the issue is not that pressing that it would have been indicted quickly. He's been sitting here with a bond that is completely unaffordable and unobtainable. I'm asking the court to lower the bond to $20,000. Good.
Ms. Broderick?
Your Honor, Mr. Wayne is correct. And so we don't see a reason to lower the bond. As you know, Mr. Lane and the court knows, it takes time to have these things indicted and tested. Your Honor, the state does not believe there's anything that's been presented that would allow for a lower bond in this case.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 215 Forsyth Street Southwest. Stay out of Fulton County, sir, unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire. Straight to the courthouse, see your lawyer, go to court, get out of Fulton County. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment is scheduled, and the exact location you're going to be working. Sir, you have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer so they can supply it to the state. Just so you know, they do follow up on that. No drugs, sir. No drugs whatsoever. Count 1, $8,000. Count 2, $3,000. Count 3, $10,000. Count 4, $8,000. Count 5, $4,000. Count 6, $8,000. Count 7, $8,000. Count 8, $500. Drugs not in original container, $50. You got that, Miss Tracy?
I got it.
Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. We got Christopher Jefferson. Thank you, sir. Rosenhuber. Position 2, Bostic. 22 CP 212620, 154 days without indictment. There's no bond as of September the 24th. Entering an automobile or a motor vehicle with an intent to commit a theft or a felony, armed robbery, and reckless conduct. Pre-trial.
4 prior arrests. Misdemeanor possession of prior probation violation, open case in Clayton for aggravated assault and misdemeanor possession. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Rosenhuber.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Jefferson is 32 years old. He has resided here in Georgia for the past 20 years. I have updated his address. He'll be living in College Park, Georgia with his fiance, and I was able to verify that. He also graduated high school in 2008, and he held 2 jobs prior to his arrest, and he'd worked at Walmart for almost 2 years before he was arrested on this case. Judge, Mr. Jefferson is looking forward to this case being indicted. He does intend on challenging these allegations, but in the meantime, he's being held on a no bond status and has been for the past 155 days. We're asking for a bond that does not exceed $35,000. Thank you.
Ms. Rosenhuber, is he going to live on the Fulton side or the Clayton side of College Park?
Judge, I would have to look at a map if I'm being completely honest. It's 1612 Pine Tree Trail in College Park, Georgia.
Sir, give me a thumbs up. Is that Fulton County?
He doesn't know, it seems.
You don't know what county you live in. What's that zip code?
It is 30349.
For some reason, I think that's Clayton County. Hold on. Yeah, all right, Fulton County. All right, sir. What says the state?
Your Honor, the nature of these charges are extremely serious. And the fact that I believe Mr. Jefferson was on bond at the time he was arrested for this case, in Clayton County, or out of Clayton County. He was released 1 week before this incident took place. So, Your Honor, that shows a propensity to commit offenses before the previous offenses have even been resolved. So we are actually asking for $160,000 bond, Your Honor. $100 on the armed robbery, 50 on the entering auto, and 10 on the reckless conduct.
Ms. Rosenhoover, if you want to respond, because you look like you want to.
I'm sorry, Judge. I don't keep my faces quite the way I would like. Judge, that would essentially still be a no bond status for Mr. Jefferson. I didn't hear any prior felony convictions. I heard that he's out on bond and has 4 prior arrests. $560,000 would not be a reasonable bond under these circumstances. And so I maintain that we are asking for a $35,000 bond.
560.
Did I hear that correctly?
She said 100,000 on the armed robbery.
160. Sorry, it's still would be a no bond for him.
So it looks like Ms. Rosenhoover, before that was the incident location was where he lived. Is he going to need to return once for law enforcement?
I don't believe he has property still there. Mr. Jefferson, he doesn't have anything there. So he will not need to return to the incident location.
That the nature of the offense or the allegations, the car was taken from the victim at gunpoint, and the defendant admitted to firing the firearm.
Yeah, there's not a charge of aggravated assault.
What I have from the report is that there was a gun sitting on the top of the truck. I don't know what ADA Broderick is reading from, but I don't believe that the gun was fired towards anybody. But Judge, even still, these are just allegations and we're still in a no bond status. I don't know if the state has had an opportunity to contact the victim in this case. But Mr. Jefferson is looking forward to an opportunity to defend this case. So we're still asking for a bond while it's pending.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Gary M. Tyson, Tyson. So you're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. Stay away from 4355 Cascade Road, Southwest. The only reason you can leave your house is court, medical, see your lawyer. Does he work? Is he going to get a job?
He does intend to seek employment, Judge, so we would ask for a work exception.
Okay, and for employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, the location, and your schedule. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. Sir, that does not mean that you take a 3-hour lunch at McDonald's. That will not suffice. Entering an auto, I got 10,000. 40,000 armed robbery, 10,000 reckless conduct, 10, 40, and 10. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Jermaine Smith. All right, there's Jermaine Smith. Mr. Lang is 11 Bostic 22 CP 213020. 140 days without indictment. Got an $8,500 good bond as of October the 8th. Possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance, certain acts, bus or rail station that's prohibited, criminal trespass, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Pre-trial.
32 prior arrests, but no felony convictions, 5 misdemeanors, a couple of FTAs, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Smith is 47 years old. He is a 27-year-old child. He attended some college, both at Morris Brown and MSU. He's currently worked at security for the World Congress Center for the past 4 months. He does anticipate being able to return to that job. Lived in Georgia his entire life, has extensive family connections here, lives with his mother at the address on record. Looking at the nature of the bond here, as Your Honor stated, over 140 days in custody, $8,500 good bond that he's been unable to afford. I'm asking the court to drop it to bare minimum $5,000, so maybe the bail project could give him some help.
What says the state?
Your Honor, 8,000 is reasonable based on the nature of the offenses, possession of a firearm during the commission of certain felonies. We would actually leave it to your discretion, Your Honor.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 70 Hamilton E. Holmes Boulevard. Sir, you have to stay away from all MARTA stations, all MARTA bus stops. If you are walking down the road and there is a MARTA bus stop and your shoe is untied, you cannot sit on that bench to tie your shoe. That will be a violation of your bond condition. You must walk beyond that MARTA bus stop, sit on the curb and tie your shoe. You cannot go on any MARTA property. Do you understand that? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Let's see. There was also, is there something? Does he still live in Briar Ridge Way in Atlanta?
Yes, Your Honor, with his mother.
Okay. $1,000, $250, $250, $5,000, and $250. $1,000, $250, $250, $5,000, and $250. You got that, Miss Tracy?
Got it.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Do we have Alejandro Alcantar? Let's see. Do you need an interpreter? No? All right, this is position 13. Bostic Alejandro Alcantar, 22 CP 213026, 140 days without indictment, terroristic threats and acts. There is a $10,000 good bond as of October the 8th. Pre-trial.
4 prior arrests, 1 FTA, open case for DUI, took PTI on purchase, manufacture, sell marijuana in 2015. Nothing further.
Mr. Lang, I understand this victim is his mother.
Correct, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
So I'm just double checking, but we do have a good address. That is not the address of the incident here. Believe that address was read off at first appearance, but I'll read it off again just in case it has not been updated. That new address will be 1003 Dassow, Dassow Court in Roswell, Georgia. At the time of his arrest, Mr. Teresos Alcantar was 26 years old. He's lived in Georgia for the last 17 years. That address I just read out is a friend's address. He will be living with that friend while he waits for the conclusion of this case and hopefully reconciliation with family after this incident. He has a ninth grade education, having gone to both Roswell and Milton High School. He currently, at the time of his arrest, had been working for J&A Landscaping for 5 years. He hopefully anticipates being able to return to that incident. Looking at the very limited nature of his history and understanding the nature of these charges, again, I'm asking the court for a $5,000 good bond so that if Mr. Teresos Alcantar can't pay that himself, maybe the bail project can help him out.
What says the state?
Your Honor, we would actually ask that you keep the bond the same and provide a no contact for the defendant in this case because of who the victim is.
Why is this just terroristic threats and acts when it says he cut her with a knife?
Your Honor, those appear to be the charges that were provided or created by the officer. Because the case has not been indicted, the charges have not been upgraded, but that does not necessarily mean that they won't be.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with MARCELINA, last name ALCANTAR. Stay away from 1021 Greenhouse Circle in Roswell, Georgia. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, sir. Court, lawyer, and medical is the only reason that you can leave. You cannot go back to that house even to get any of your possessions. You can also not have any contact. There's one more, there's another brother. I didn't see the brother's name. Miss Broderick, do you have the brother's name who is a witness?
I don't have that right in front of me, Your Honor.
All right, I guess Miss Tracy just put in there no contact with his brother. He was a witness to the alleged incident.
Okay.
Let's see if we missed anything. $75,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Sorry, Your Honor, did you say 75,000 or 7,500?
$75,000. He cut his mother with a knife. Best of luck to you, sir. Leave the booth. You can leave the booth, sir. Did he need an interpreter, Mr. Lang? You said he didn't.
Not that I remember, Your Honor.
Mr. Alcantar. You can leave the booth.
Do you want me to remove the booth, Judge?
That's all right. Somebody may get back in there. How about Rodney Geis? Rodney Geis.
Your Honor, I believe that he is in the 3 South booth. Mr. Geis, can you wave your hand?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. This is case is position 20 CP 19278, 370 days without indictment. There is a $8,000 good bond as of February the 22nd, 2022. Theft by receiving stolen property, acquiring a license plate for the purpose of concealing identification of a motor vehicle, DUI less safe, and driving with license suspended or revoked. Pre-trial.
In regards to Geis, 41 prior arrests, at least 6 misdemeanors, at least 4 felonies, prior simple battery, family violence, numerous forgeries, FTAs. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Bianco.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Mr. Geis, he has been in the Fulton County Jail now for 368 days without indictment this go around. He has previously been in jail for 307 days for this case. Pretrial came off of Mr. Geis's bond and he was rearrested. So in total, Mr. Geis has spent 675 days in custody on unindicted charges, non-complex charges. It's a theft by receiving stolen property case. And the item in question is a car. There are solid defenses for Mr. Geis's case on 2 of these counts. Mr. Geis, nonetheless, would like to resolve the case. You stay in custody for almost 2 years. You'll plead to just get out. I've been reaching out to supervisors to try to get this case accused because Mr. Geis just wants this case behind him. It has held him up now for far too long. But a little bit about Mr. Geis. He's 55 years old. He has strong ties to the Atlanta community. He does have a place where he can stay. It's the address that's on file. That's his parents' house, and he lives in a carriage house on their property. He is a brother to 5 sisters that he cares deeply for. His parents are elderly, and he has spent a long time explaining to me how important it is to him that he be released from custody so that he can spend time with his family. And I think one of Mr. Geis's biggest fears would be that he were to lose one of his parents while he's in custody. He loves them deeply. Your Honor, he has an $8,000 good bond that he can't afford. We're asking the court to reinstate his UJR so that he can be released immediately. I have, since speaking with Mr. Geis, been working really hard to just accuse the case so that we could get a time served offer. That has been unresponsive from the state. And so we turned to the court for a UJR because the state's not willing to negotiate with us. That's the request from the defense.
Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Yeah, I have not actually had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Fiacco about this. I would be willing to discuss this with her. For these purposes today, it's concerning as to the history and how many of the previous convictions are DUI related. Driving without a license in a vehicle that has been allegedly stolen is an issue. Currently, the $8,000 bond, seems reasonable under those circumstances. So we would leave it to the court's discretion with the understanding that, I would be willing to speak with Ms. Fiacco about this case.
So ADA Broderick, I've never had the pleasure to meet you. Which department do you work in? I've been reaching out to Deputy Hutcherson. Are you the better contact person in this case?
Deputy Hutcherson is Deputy Hutcherson. He's in case intake. I'm actually in the non-complex division. And so I have the ability to speak with you about the case.
Okay, can I please have your contact information? I'm happy to call you tonight. I would like to work this out for Mr. Geis.
I will make sure you get it.
Thank you.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact. Christina, Christina Graham, Graham. Sir, no driving without a valid license. Your license are suspended or revoked. You cannot drive without valid license, registration, or insurance. He was on pretrial. I don't think pretrial will take him back, will you, Bostic?
I mean, Your Honor, if Your Honor orders it, I don't know if.
Yeah, but you ever had Bostic mad at you? Where'd Bostic go?
And just like y'all have standards, so do we. So would you like somebody to order you to do something that you're not? That's not a good argument, Ms. Fiacco.
All right, let's see. Got 1,000 count one, $50 count two, 1,000 count three, and $250 count four. 1,000, you got $50, 1,000, and 250. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Mr. Geis, so that's gonna be $2,300, okay?
And I'm sorry, did you order no driving?
Right. Till he has a valid license, registration, and insurance.
So Mr. Geis, I'm gonna reach out to ADA Broderick to see if we can resolve the case. And in the meantime, I'm gonna try to reach out to a nonprofit because like I've talked to you before, you've been in custody for too long. So please do not stress tonight. I will try to do what I can, okay?
If you work out something, Ms. Fiacco, just send it to me.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. And I'll be
D'Angelo
giving you a
Harris.
call. Thank you.
D'Angelo Harris. All right. Okay, it's position 17, Bostic, 22 CP 213722, D'Angelo Harris. 111 days without indictment, aggravated assault. There's a $50,000 good bond as of November the 5th.
Your Honor,
Also
he's
26.
also
Also
26.
What you said, Bostic?
Also number 26.
Oh, yeah. 22 CP 211854, 111 days without indictment. There is a $50,000 split bond on this, and it's VGCSA possession. Let's see. VGCSA purchase, possession, have control of, Schedule 1 or 2, possession of firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. But it looks like he has made those, Mr. Lang, and we're just going to hear, unless alpha bonding came off of that, we're just going to hear the expired license on person and possession of marijuana unless announced. Pretrial came after that. Is it your understanding that that alpha bonding didn't come off the other ones?
That is my understanding, Your Honor. Let me double check. I'll verify while Bostic's reading her stuff.
Pretrial.
Judge, 17 arrests in Texas, 1 in Georgia. Most of dispositions are not listed, but we have a 2012 eluding arrest and a 2012 controlled substance.
Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
1 second, Your Honor. Still
Okay.
just checking. Yeah, those charges are not showing. The only charges currently showing as holding him in are the two charges that had UJRs in 26 and then the charge on 17. So Alpha did not come off the other bonds on 26.
Okay,
Mr. Harris is 33 years old. He's born and raised here in Georgia. His entire family lives here in Georgia, including his two children. He has a 13-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. He has custody of a son and provides for his daughter in every way that he's able to. He completed the 11th grade and as well as some GED classes. He's hopeful to return to those classes upon his release. Prior to his arrest, he was working with Burns Fire Protection as a sprinkler installer. His cousin owns that business. He is fairly confident that he'll be able to get his job back there upon release, being as it's a family-owned business. He does have a good address he'll be able to return to. It's the Middleton Road address in Atlanta. We did confirm that address with his sister, who also lives at that address. Looking for everything we have here, Your Honor. On position 17, I'm asking the court for a $20,000 bond. And then on position 26, I'm asking the court to either reinstate the unsecured judicial releases or set a $500 bond on each.
it says the state.
Your Honor, we actually do not, we haven't heard anything that requires or that would necessitate a lower bond amount. I mean, 50,000 for an aggravated assault doesn't seem unreasonable, especially since there are other charges that are actually pending. And so we would leave to your discretion, Your Honor.
Has there been
Your
any,
Honor.
has there been any contact with the victim? Because it looks like allegedly he ran over the victim with a car.
I have not spoken with the victim. I don't know if one of the advocates did, Your Honor.
And they're not here, right? All right, or Ms. Williams is here. Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Just to respond, Your Honor, if the state wants the information, what has changed and the reason we're asking for a lowering in bond is there's case law stating that a client's ability to pay a bond is a factor in bond based on the fact that he's not been able to pay this bond. That's a factor we're asking the court to take into account. He's been in custody since November 5th without indictment. I can name off 20 cases at least right now that came in after him and have already been indicted. I can additionally talk about the number of young men who have been stabbed and murdered in Fulton County Jail waiting for their cases to be dropped or get a bond they can pay or something to that effect. That's what's changed. That's why we're here. We're asking for the bond to be lowered because right now, Mr. Harris is trying to figure out whether or not he's going to survive Fulton County Jail, let alone get out.
And Your Honor, based on that, the fact that this is to actually make sure that no other offenses are taking place, the defendant shows up, you know, the ability to commit new offenses or intimidate the witness or the victim, the nature of the charges, as Your Honor has already mentioned, the damage or the injuries caused to the victim are significant. And so those are the things that actually predicate whether or not this person is suitable for bond or the bond amount. And so those are the things that have not been changed in this perspective.
I understand. Ms. Williams, victim advocate, have we had any contact with the victim? Okay, no drugs unless, okay, position 17, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with J-E-P-H-T-A-H, last name Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R. Going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule and exact location you're going to be working. So you have supplied that to your lawyer and to the ankle monitoring company. No further contact with A-N-G-E-L-I-Q-U-E, last name Harris, common spelling, H-A-R-R-I-S. Stay away from 663 Thurman Street Northwest. No driving. No driving during the pendency of this case. $40,000 good bond on position 17. Position 26. Just talking about the no license on person and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no driving during the pendency of this case. Stay away from 635 Jet Street Northwest. Expired license on persons, $250, and I think it's what's the fine in City of Atlanta? Is it $50?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's a $50 fine on the marijuana lesson out. So 250 and 50. You'll still have that ankle monitor paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule and exact location you'll be working. Sir, you have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Michael Finley. Michael Finley. William Holly. Thank you, sir. 18 Bostic 22 CP 213726, 111 days without indictment on aggravated assault. There is $50,000 good bond as of November the 5th. Preach. Rah.
In regards to Mr. Holly, 34 prior arrests, I believe, 12 felonies, FTA, 09 aggravated assault, 3 counts, 2016 entering auto, financial transaction card fraud, 5 counts, financial transaction card theft, 4 counts. Open misdemeanor 21 CR 0067774 B DUI, failure to maintain lane. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Holly is 50 years old, lifelong resident of Georgia, has his GED, as well as 1 child who lives here in Georgia. At the time of his arrest, he was unemployed. We are hopefully going to be able to find a job once he gets out. The address on file is a good address. It is the incident location. However, he lives at that address alone. The complaining witness in this case did not and does not live at that address. That is his property and his property alone. So we're asking that there not be a stay away from that location, as the victim in this case does not have any business returning to that address. Therefore, there'd be no issue of contact between the two of them. I'm asking the court in this case to set a total bond. See, it's currently at 50,000. I'm going to ask the court to at least knock it into half at 25,000, and if the court will go lower, then to go lower.
What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the nature of the injuries to the victim, the fact that the allegations say that the victim was hit with a firearm causing significant injuries, we believe the $50,000 bond is sufficient, Your Honor. And we would ask that the defendant keep no firearms or have no access to any firearms.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with QUINSHUNTA, last name Shelby, SHELBY. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, sir. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer, who can supply that to the state. Looks like she was not shot with the gun, but hit with the gun. Absolutely no weapons, sir. None whatsoever. $30,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Frank Greco. All right, position 20, Bostic 22 CP 213807, 108 days without indictment, got arson in the 1st degree and a $5,000 good bond. Preach. Rah.
In regards to Mr. Greco, multi-state offender across 4 states, 1 in Georgia, 1 in North Carolina, a misdemeanor conviction there, 1 in New York, a 08 robbery there, and 24 in California, and 2 arrests in Nevada. Did I do that?
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Judge, I would want to place on the record that Mr. Greco, I visited him yesterday and he mentioned not wanting a public defender to represent him today.
Mr. Greco, that's not a bright thing to do. You can go ahead and take him off of mute.
Judge, you said take him off of mute.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Mr.
Okay.
Greco, you've got to understand that you have the right to remain silent. This is being recorded, number one, and the DA is taking notes. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to attorney. One has been appointed to represent you because you've been in jail 108 days, so you could not afford one. I'm cautioning you on going forward by yourself. Yeah, you can go ahead and take him off mute. What does he want to say? Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, I appreciate you taking time to quickly hear me today. I haven't had a chance for a court date in months. To be honest, I think the reason is because they gave me an ankle monitor in my first appearance. They didn't have a court scheduled date after 21 days, which with the court rule, usually it would be dismissed since there was no scheduling and 10.1 deadline. But I would really like for an exonerator to be entered to hear court at a later date and to discharge me to my own custody without bail. Law 132 called the Code of Practice. I've been in custody now for over 105 days, like you guys have said. And in the description, it says I started a fire in a dumpster, but they overcharged me for arson 1, which consists of murder.
Once again, Mr. Greco, I am warning you of your right to remain silent. Do you understand that Miss Broderick is on here and she is taking notes for anything that you are saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. This is about bond.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm urging you to address bond only.
Okay, I'd like to enter an exonerator plea to be remanded to my own discharge, please, regarding bond, considering this case is so small. And it states that in my description, it only states that I started a fire in a dumpster, which isn't arson in the first. It's no more than a citation, a misdemeanor, Your Honor. But to not waste the court's time, I mean, you know, I'd like to enter a no contest plea with a lower charge, if that's possible.
This isn't a time to plea.
Understand?
Mr. Rose, are you asking to withdraw from the case?
One moment, Judge. I can.
We know I don't have.
I'll try to speak with him one more time, Judge. We may need to schedule perhaps a Ferretta hearing at a later date, but I can stay on as the attorney of record for now until that comes.
Ms. Broderick?
Okay, do you believe
Yes,
that
sir. Go ahead.
an exonerator plea, can I enter for an exonerator to be remanded to my own discharge? So I've been in custody for over 105 days now,
You have a bond already, sir, of $5,000.
which I thought this was a bail hearing to get rid of my bond.
No, this is a bond hearing to see if I'll modify your bond.
Well, Your Honor, I actually have no funds to pay any bond, but this is a non-violent charge as well. On my citations, I started a fire in a dumpster.
Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, we believe that the bond as is appropriate based on these allegations, Your Honor.
Mr. Rose, what address is it? Are you still planning on living in California, sir? I guess you have to unmute him again.
I'll take him back off of.
Thank you.
Actually, Your Honor, I was on my way to Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay, hold on a second, sir. Where do you plan on living? An address?
Probably in the state of Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
the state is opposed to him leaving the state.
Okay. You're gonna have to find a place to live in the state of Georgia, but it can't be in Fulton County, sir.
That is correct. I understand that to come back at a later time for court.
You cannot live in Fulton County, but you cannot leave the state of Georgia.
So will you guys accept my exonerator so I can be
No, sir. Go ahead, place him back on mute. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property. There's Georgia Tech property all over the city of Atlanta and all over Fulton County, but you're going to stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Do not come to Fulton County for any other reason. Or of course, if you don't have a lawyer, the only reason you need to come to court is the only reason you need to come to Fulton County is to come to court. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property. That includes storage facilities, any campus housing, on campus and off campus housing. You are going to have to supply an address when you are released. So if you don't have an address inside the state of Georgia, but not in Fulton County where you will be residing, you will not be able to be let out on bond. So Ms. Tracy, put it on there that he has to supply an address in the state of Georgia where he will be living. That ankle monitor, you guys, is going to be paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. Stay away from 112 Bobby Dodd Way. See if there's anything I missed. Since I made a little bit of adjustments there, $4,999 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Albert Bailey, $4,999. I made changes to the bond, so made additional conditions, so I made change to your bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Albert Bailey. All right. Position 16, 22 CP 213711, 112 days without indictment. There is no bond as of 11. Sir, you can leave the booth. Remove him. Go ahead and put it in the, you can go ahead and put it in the waiting room. You, Mr. Bailey, your charges are kidnapping, aggravated assault, theft by taking, felony, criminal damage to property, first degree, robbery, battery, and reckless driving. Pre-trial.
Regards to Bailey, 2 in Florida, 27 in Georgia. Open case 21 SC 179048, burglary, criminal damage to property, 21 SC 177558, theft by receiving stolen property. Think he's on probation for firearm by convicted felon, reckless conduct, sentence 11/5/21 for 6 years. Prior cocaine conviction, prior aggravated assault, kidnapping, and robbery in 2012, and cruelty in 2016. 5 arrests for probation violation. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bailey is 35 years old, lived in Georgia his entire life. He has 4 children, all of whom live here. He has an 11th grade education. He was working at a Dollar Tree location as a stocker and cashier for about 9 months prior to his arrest. We do anticipate he'll be able to return to that job, maybe if not at that location, at another location. The address, we do have a good address that he'll be residing. It is in Atlanta in Fulton County. Understanding his history, understanding the charges at bay, I'm asking the court for a $50,000 good bond.
So he's not going to live at the Forest Park address?
No, Your Honor.
All right, what, he's raising his hand. Are you going to live at the Forest Park address? The Fulton County address? Okay, that's what he said. Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Yeah, we are actually asking for $150,000 bond based on the nature of these charges. It seems as though some of these charges are similar to charges that he's had in the past. We're actually asking for $100,000 on the kidnapping, $20,000 on the aggravated assault, $10,000 on the theft by taking, 5 on the criminal damage to property, 10 on the robbery, 5 on the battery, and 1,000 on the reckless driving.
What'd you say on the kidnapping and the ag assault?
$100,000 on kidnapping and $20,000 on the ag assault.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 100 Bell Street Southeast. No further contact with Barbara Patterson, Patterson. No further contact with Toya, Toya Patterson. No further contact with Jamila Moreland, Moreland. No further contact with Robert Norwood. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. $75,000 on kidnapping, $50,000 on aggravated assault, $10,000 on theft by taking, $10,000 on criminal damage to property, $20,000 on robbery, $5,000 on battery, and $1,000 on reckless driving. Miss Tracy, you need that again?
I have it.
75, 50, 10, 10, 25, and 1. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Your Honor, that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir, Mr. Lane. Good to see you. Damon Thomas. Byron Williams. All right, Mr. Williams. It's position 2, Bostic 22 CP 213868, 107 days without indictment. There is no bond as of November the 10th, 2022. 2 counts of aggravated assault and the possession of a firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Pre-trial.
Multi-state offender, 12 in Illinois, 1 in South Carolina, 11 in Georgia. Open case 22 CR 0077008J, battery. That victim is a Ronald Oglesby. Prior 2019 battery, family violence, prior 2019 ag assault. That victim in both of those cases, Trudy Scott. Prior battery in 06. Prior arrest for probation violation and parole violation. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is 59 years old. He's been living in Georgia for the last 21 years. He's originally from Chicago. He has 6 children. They are all grown. 2 of them reside in Georgia still. He attended some college at Harold Washington College. And he was working before his incarceration. He was working a part-time job with First Step, doing warehouse work. Your Honor, he no longer has a good address. I know Ms. Kennebrew explained to me that she is in contact with her social worker, trying to find him some kind of rooming house or something, if he was to be released. He's currently set, he has no bond currently, and he is now, he's past the 90-day mark, meaning he is statutorily entitled to a bond. We're asking for a bond not to exceed $25,000, 10,000 on each of the aggravated assaults, and 5,000 on the possession of a firearm charge. Thank you.
What says the state?
Yeah, I missed which number this was.
It's position 2 on the add-on calendar.
Okay, thought so. For the ag assaults, we're actually asking for 15 per ag assault. And then for the possession charge, Your Honor, we're actually asking for 20.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Ronald Oglesby, Oglesby. Stay away from 532 Cleveland Avenue Southwest. The other victim is Gail. No further contact with Gail, Gayle, Glass. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical. Is he going to have any employment, Mr. Cazzoli, as far as you know?
Your Honor, he was working previously with First Step. I'm not sure if they will welcome him back immediately, but there's no reason for me to believe that he does not have an opportunity to return there.
All right. Sir, you can leave for employment as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location that you're going to be working. You have to turn that over to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer, who's also then going to turn it over to the state. 15 count 1, 15 count 2, and 15 on count 3. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Jonathan Adele. We got 2 cases.
I'll be covering those, Your Honor.
Okay. Position 6, Bostic 22 CP 213908. Jonathan Adele, 106 days without indictment. There's a $10,000 good bond on terroristic threats and acts. Then you got 22 CP 213872, 106 days without indictment, $30,000 good bond as of November the 11th with aggravated assault and possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Pre-trial.
Says no prior arrest, but he has a 22 conviction for harassing communication for Gabrielle Richardson. Misdemeanor, nothing further.
All right, Ms. Rosenhover.
Thank you, Judge. And just briefly to address that, I haven't looked at what that misdemeanor conviction is, but that is the same complaining witness in the 22 CP 213872 case. And I believe that incident date was June 20th, 2022. I also just briefly want to point out to the court that the other case, the terroristic threats, occurred allegedly back in 2021. So these weren't two incidents back to back. They were spaced out, and he appeared for first appearance at the same time. Nevertheless, Judge, Mr. Adele has now been in custody for 106 days. We do have a new address where he can reside with his brother. We were able to verify it, and we plan to file a change of address. It's in Gainesville, Georgia. Judge, he also completed his junior college. He was studying culinary arts, and he was working at a pizza place and as a taxi driver in Sandy Springs. He also has 2 children, no prior felony convictions, and some MH issues, Judge. His brother is aware of them, and their family is not able to post a significant bond right now. So we would ask the court to reduce both of these cases in half to a total of a $20,000 bond. So $5,000 on the terroristic threats. And then however the court needs to break down the $30,000, but we're asking that to just be 15. Thank you.
Ms. Broderick.
Yes, I heard that there was some issues with regards to MH. Have there been any kind of attempts to get a program or some type of assistance with that?
Yes, so there is a social worker actively involved. This case has been passed around to a couple attorneys. I'm just covering for tonight, but Ms. Bader did speak with the social worker who's looking for placements for MH and potential housing, but then she was able to verify with the brother that he could live there. So we're working on it, but it is in place.
Your Honor, we are actually asking for, and we do have some concern about the location, where I'm not sure how far the placement would be with the brother, but in terms of the return to the area for court appearances, we're actually asking for $10,000 for the aggravated assault and $15,000 for the possession of the firearm, and $10,000 for the other case.
Well, she said he's going to live with his brother in Gainesville.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far Gainesville is from.
Oh, okay. It's Hall County. It's further up 85, 985. All right. So
the court be providing an ankle monitor?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's see. On position 3, ending in 3872. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact. And I've got GYSSI Richardson. Is that right, Madam Prosecutor? Is that the name that you have?
I actually don't have the name in front of me, Your Honor.
Let me look at the warrant real quick to make sure I got it right, because it didn't.
Judge, on the order, it has GYASI.
GYASI Richardson. No further contact with GYASI Richardson. Stay away from 3101 Noble Creek Drive Northwest. No further contact with Brenda Hernandez. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, MH, or any treatment that Ms. Gowdy gets you into. Also employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and exact location you're going to be working, sir. And if there's treatment for any MH issues, you're going to have supplied that also to the ankle monitoring company and to the state. Thank you. 15,000 on count 1, 5,000 on count 2. On case ending in 3903. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Oh yeah, and that's stay out of Fulton County. The only reason to come back to Fulton County, sir, is court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire, don't stop for lunch, don't stop and get groceries. No Chick-fil-A, no Chipotle, no nothing.
Judge,
Yes.
on that, one of those victims, that's Brenda Hernandez Rojas.
Okay, so Brenda Hernandez Rojas. Okay, it's on both. ROJAS. Thank you, pretrial. This one also ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew except for court, lawyer, medical, anything MH and work. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, the location you're going to be working, and a schedule. You stay out of Fulton County, sir, unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. $8,000 on this one. No further contact with Brenda Hernandez Rojas. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Judge. And that does conclude my business, if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Do I have Marcellus Nelson? Michael Finley. Wave your hand if you're Finley.
He's here.
All right. 22 Bostic, it's 22 CP 213829, Michael Finley, 108 days without indictment. You got aggravated assault and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, no bond as of November the 9th. Pre-trial.
In regards to Michael Finley, also AKA Malik Walton, 24 prior arrests, cocaine, probation 21 SC 177645, sentence 9/23/22, 4 months confinement, 2 years, 8 months probation. Also on probation for theft by taking in Rockdale 6/14/18. Actually, that would be over because it was just for 4 years. He has a prior act of assault in 05, theft of forgery, 2015 firearm by a convicted felon, 3 arrests for probation violation, nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Mr. Finley is 39 years old. He is from Atlanta and a lifelong Atlanta resident. The address on file is his address. He lives there with his girlfriend and his 2 children aged 3 and 6 years old. He has all of his family here and he works doing security, essentially. Judge, we did have a preliminary hearing last week. Beforehand, I spoke with one of the complaining witnesses of this case. She has told me that she has no fear for her safety in regards to Mr. Finley, and indeed, this complaining witness wants him to be released. There are 2 other complaining witnesses on the case. Facts came out at preliminary hearing, basically, where those other two complaining witnesses are unreachable. We don't know where they are, and they were uncooperative with police investigation. Nevertheless, the one witness that I did speak with has told me that the address on file, the other 2 complaining witnesses, as well as herself, do not live there. So there would not be an issue with contact. Judge, I would ask for bond to be set. Well, he is statutorily required, I believe, to have a bond set at this point. His case is not indicted. I'd ask for bond to be set at $50,000 or below. And that's all, Judge. One more thing, Judge.
Yes.
You have to mention at preliminary hearings, the judge did add additional charges. So he is now actually charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 per complaining witness, 1 count of possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
All right, so it's possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of a felony. Thank you. I just pulled that up. Thank you. Ms. Broderick?
Yeah, based on the nature of the allegations, and I'm not sure if the person that he was talking about living with was one of the complaining witnesses, but it appears as though there was some relationship with the alleged victims in the case, and so we're actually asking for $30,000 per count.
One second.
And to be clear, yes, I was referencing speaking with one of the complaining witnesses, specifically Juan Thomas was her name.
No, I mean, is she the person that he was talking about living with?
No.
Okay.
So it looks like, who was it? Judge Dallas still left, no further contact with Lawan, Lajuan Thomas. No further contact with Shanika, Shenicka Carmichael. And no further contact with Anajah Carmichael. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew except for court, lawyer, medical. And is he gonna have employment?
I believe so, Judge, still, yes.
Right, you could leave for work, sir, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to Mr. Rhodes so that he can let the state know. One second. So it looks like here, Carmichael, this is, Mr. Finley is supposedly a person that she calls her father. So I don't know if that's a real father, play father, fill-in father.
It's not biological.
Okay. Choked her on the neck. She sustained bruises around her neck, pointed a gun at Lawan Thomas's face, and pointed a gun at the victim's mother, Shanika Carmichael's face. Let me see. So it says here that they did reside together, but has she moved out?
By my understanding, yes, and I have spoken with Mr. Finley's girlfriend who's still living at that residence. She's confirmed that that complaining witness, Ms. Carmichael, has moved out as well.
And what's his girlfriend's name?
George, let me have it in my notes somewhere.
Okay. It looks like there's a warrant outstanding too. It shows up on Houston from Houston County.
I believe it was out of Rockdale. That's
I
where
mean,
it comes to the jail.
it's showing up on the screen as Houston County, which isn't Rockdale, but Houston County is further south.
And yeah, it shows that Lawan Thomas is the sister of Mr. Finley.
All right. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with those folks. Sir, you have to stay away from 1250 Donnelly Avenue Southwest if they live there. So if they are living there, any one of those people that I named off live there or are staying there, you cannot go back there. Do you understand? Give me a thumbs up. Let the record reflect he gave me a thumbs up. That ankle monitor is going to be paid for by the county, court, lawyer, and medical. And that is a Fulton County address, right?
Yes.
And then I would like it noted that because there's some familial relationship, if there's a situation where Mr. Finley is somewhere, you know, because one of the victims is a sibling, if the sibling is there, he's not supposed to be there. If you're visiting your mom or what have you, just no contact with the victim means you can't be in the same place that she's in.
Well, you got to stay 200 yards, sir, away from anyone that of the names that I called out. You can't come within 200 yards of them. So that means you stay 2 football fields away from them. Let's see, the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 15. 30,000 on each ag assault, and the possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of a felony, 15. You got that, Miss Tracy? 15 on each firearm and 30 on each ag assault.
Got it.
You got 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle if Houston County or any other county that has a hold comes and picks you up, sir. Best of luck to you. You can leave the booth. So LT, I got 2 people. I got Damon Thomas and Marcellus Nelson.
And Judge,
Okay,
And I have no idea who's in booth 5 South. They haven't waved their hand.
and
Well, now they're
that
waving
would
their
have
hand.
concluded my business, ma'am. Be excused.
Yes, sir. Are you Marcellus Nelson? Wave your hand if you're Marcellus Nelson.
I'm gonna unmute the booth, Judge, to see who.
Okay.
Your Honor, just in the meantime, I don't have any cases on. I had just sent you an order earlier today and I just wanted to just follow up on it.
Yes, ma'am. I'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, it is misspelled on the calendar, and I feel like elsewhere, but it's actually going to be Damon Thomas is the
Damon Thomas. He still didn't wave his name. So it's booth 5. It's
oh, that's
booth
not
5
him, Your
South,
Honor. I was just-
5 South, booth 4. Is that the one that they have problems with the speaker? Sir, can you hear me? What's your name, sir?
Emerson Mechanic?
Oh, sir, your case is that one of the ones that's indicted?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge's position 25.
Yeah, that one was removed though for.
Both his cases were indicted.
Yeah, your cases have been indicted, sir. Your lawyer will get in touch with you later, okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You could leave the booth. So we need Marcellus Nelson and Damon Thomas. LT, do you know where they're at?
I am making contact with the jail right now.
Okay. You can probably place that booth back on mute, Miss Travoria. No telling what we're here. I'm saying.
Yes, I'm doing it now.
I think 5 South booth 3 is still unmuted too.
Judge, you said you were waiting on Nelson, and which was the other name you were waiting on?
Thomas, Damon Thomas.
Okay, thank you.
One and 5 on the add-on calendar.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Judge. Yeah, we're a little challenged, but they're trying to get him in the booth 3 right now.
Okay. Thank you so much, LT.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Voigt, you probably see it, but the camera one north booth 4.
Yes, ma'am. I'm unmute it in just a second.
Oh, okay, thanks. Or yeah.
Judge, Lieutenant said it's going to be about 5 minutes in order to get them in the booth.
Okay,
See if the attorneys want to waive their presence, or do you want to continue to hold for them because they're having some staffing challenges? Or do you want me to add them to another calendar? Whatever's
Mr.
your preference.
Mr. Cozzoli, I know one's Miss Pinto's.
Your Honor, if it's only gonna be 5 minutes, I would request to wait, just I have not gotten his permission to move forward without him.
Okay, we understand. Everybody can stand down until you see people appear in the booths then. Except you, Bostic. You have to stay working.
I actually am. I'm doing stats from earlier.
Excuse me, Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, LT.
Okay, I just got word there's a situation on 7 North, and they're not going to be able to get them over there in a timely manner.
And is that, which one is that? Is that Nelson or Thomas?
That is Nelson. I'm still checking on Thomas. But
Okay.
that's Marcellus Nelson, 7 North.
So Mr. Cozzoli, he has a bond. He has a bond of $8,000 that I set in October. You want this one to be reset?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was not covered for Miss Pinto. I'm not sure who's supposed to be here for that, but I suppose that's the
somebody was
natural
covered for
evolution of things.
Was it Rosenhoover that was covering for Miss Pinto?
It might have been. I guess a reset's probably the best idea for that then.
Okay. LT, we could just reset Marcellus Nelson, since there's an issue with that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Give me a second on the One North gentleman, Thomas, Demon Thomas.
Okay.
All right.
Your Honor, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Lang.
I realized that I logged off, forgetting that I was covering Miss Pinto's case today.
Oh, that's okay. So they're having some issues in 7. So we're gonna reset it. He's already got an $8,000 good bond, but there's some
Okay.
issues. It'll be a while. So yeah, you can just tell her,
So reset tech issues.
uh-huh.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
Have a good night.
You too.
Judge, I'm sorry, Lieutenant Conklin just informed me it's gonna be longer than a few minutes on trying to get, they had to go get a staff member to escort the other gentleman we're waiting on, the One North, so.
Thomas, oh, okay.
Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, so I'm not sure how long you wanted to wait, or if you want me to reset, or what, how do you want to proceed?
Oh, this is Mr. Cazzoli's. He said he hasn't spoke to him, asked if he could waive yet, so.
Your Honor, if it's a, he was already, he had a prelim, I think, about a month ago, and we were already delayed in getting a bond hearing for that, because we were running out of time. So if we can
I
get
just been advised.
Yeah, it looks like one of the loitering and prowling got dismissed, so it went from,
Excuse me.
yes, sir.
I apologize. I just been advised that Mr. Thomas should be in booth 1.
Booth 1 on 7 or,
On One North, Lieutenant, I got booth 4 open on One North. You said that was his location?
Okay, give me a second.
Do I
So,
need, One North, booth 4 is on the screen. If you need me to open up a different booth, just let me know.
Booth 1 is where they sent him.
On One North,
Yes.
let me see if I can get that booth open.
and Mr. Cazzoli, so it's gonna be 14-5 since one of the loitering and prowlings was dismissed and it was a 15-5.
Yes, Judge, I know that Judge Dallas does things a little differently than Judge Drake. Judge Drake will, if there's any change, she'll usually have a bond hearing, but so I guess we're starting off at 14-5.
All right. Whoop. Camera went back off. Let's see.
It looks like he was sitting there.
There, oh, yeah, there goes. Mr. Thomas, can you hear me? Okay. This is position 122 CP 213155, Damon Thomas, 135 days without indictment. Here your charges, sir: possession of tools for a crime, possession of tools for a crime, theft by taking, misdemeanor, loitering and prowling, 1 count, willful obstruction, misdemeanor, willful obstruction, misdemeanor, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Excuse me, as of January the 30th, 2023, you have a $14,500 good bond. Pre-trial.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Thomas, 10 prior arrests, prior purchase, manufacturing, sale of marijuana, 1 arrest for probation violation, 1 FTA, 2 open cases, 22 CP 212725, theft by shoplifting, open misdemeanor, 22 CR 0068755, theft by taking. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Thomas is 46 years old as of about 2 weeks ago. As you mentioned, he has been in jail for over 130 days. He's a high school graduate. He attended some college, and he's a military veteran as well. He was active in the Navy from 1995. In 1995. He had lived in Georgia from 1999 to 2018. He was gone for a little bit, and then for the last 2 years before his incarceration, he has continued to reside in Georgia. So he has strong ties to the community. Your Honor, the address on file for him is correct. That's 1213 Whitney Place, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30058. His bond is currently set as $14,500. Even though he has had a hearing since then, his bond was not reduced from what it was set at back in October, Your Honor. So we're asking for a substantial change downward there. We're asking for a bond not to exceed $6,000, $2,000 on each of the tools charges, $1,000 on the theft by taking, $500 on each of the willful obstructions and the UJR for the possession of marijuana.
All right. Ms. Broderick.
Yeah, we actually believe that the bond as set is appropriate, and we are actually asking that you leave it as is, but we leave it to your discretion, Your Honor.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. He's living in Stone Mountain, right, Mr. Cazzoli?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Stay away from 48 Fifth Street in Atlanta, Georgia, and sir, stay away from all Georgia Tech property, any property on campus, any property off campus. They have off-campus housing. Stay away from there. Stay away from that little Georgia Tech trolley that rides around town. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew except for court, lawyer, medical, and work. You shouldn't have a problem doing that because you live in Stone Mountain. I don't think Georgia Tech owns any property in Stone Mountain, but if they do, don't go there. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire, don't get lunch when you come to court. Just come to court or see your lawyer and leave. No further contact with SAMVARUN. Last name is RAJULAPATI. That ankle monitor, like I said, will be paid for by the county. And he can also leave for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Did I already say that? And I just lost my train of thought.
I don't think you mentioned employment, Your Honor. He had been previously working in construction, but he's out of work since his incarceration, Your Honor. But we appreciate you leaving that open if he was to gain employment in Fulton County.
All right, sir, you can leave for employment as long as you supply proof of employment, the name of your employer, the location, and a schedule. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to Mr. Cazzoli so they can supply it to the state. Okay? All right. $3,000 count 1, $3,000 count 2, $500 count 3. I think the count 4 had been dismissed, so got the willful obstruction. $750 on the other willful obstruction, $750, and then marijuana less than an ounce. I swear, I think it's a $50 fine. $50, $3,000, $3,000, $5,000, $750, $750, $750, and $50. You got that, Miss Tracy?
One more time.
$3,000, $3,000, $500, $750, $750, $750, and then $50 on the misdemeanor marijuana. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Mr. Thomas, your total is going to be 8,800. Thank you, Your Honor. I think that concludes my business, and I believe it concludes the court's business as well.
Yes, sir, Mr. Cazzelli. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone, or can we stop the street?
Good night, Judge. I thank
Night,
everyone for their
LT. Thank you.
patience.
Thank you.
That's a